Hello there, good morning to you. This is Kakaki Social. Welcome to a new week. I'm Onoshorena Obozeghie. The president and his vice Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima have discredited the case made by the Labour Party and its presidential candidate Peter Obi against the outcome of the February 25 presidential elections, describing their argument and witnesses' testimonies as worthless. Their submission was contained in their final written address against the petitions pending at the Presidential Election Petition Court. And about the debated 25% of votes in the FCT, Tinubu's lead counsel, Wale Olanipekan, says anarchy is inevitable if the court decides to redefine Abuja from being the 37th state of the federation. And here is partly what he says in the final address. He says, "May we draw the attention of the court to the fact that there is no punctuation, comma, in the entire section 134 subsection 2b of the Constitution, particularly immediately after the states and the succeeding and connecting the federal government, the federal capital territory with the state. In essence, the reading of the subsection has to be conjunctive and not disjunctive, as the Constitution clearly makes it so. Pressed further by this constitutional imperative, the FCT is taken as if it is the 37th state under and by virtue of Section 299 of the Constitution." He says, "With much respect, any other interpretation different from this would lead to absurdity, chaos, anarchy, and alteration of the very intention of the legislature. Our courts have always adopted the purposeful approach to the interpretation of our Constitution as exemplified in a host of decisions." Let's see. First Ladyship, in reaction to this, says they brought thugs in buses to attack NSAS protesters and used Ronu or a festival and violent attacks to intimidate voters as well. But their cup is full. Judges must do the right thing, and if Nigeria descends to anarchy and chaos, hold INEC Select official Bola Ahmed Tinubu responsible. For Lucas, it says no amount of threat would stop the tribunal from doing its work. Tinubu should calm down and avoid altering the tribunal's work. Nigeria is on the course of making history. The world is watching. And unverified account of this barrister Omorobo, he says Tinubu warning the tribunal that his removal as president may trigger anarchy is a threat and blackmail of the judiciary. When the election was rigged, the opposition did not take to violence. You asked them to go to court. Now you are in court and you are preaching violence. For this user also, he says FCT are not special voters. The law knows that and the judges know it. Peter Obi lost the election. Peter Obi came third. Aso Villa is not for IPOB. No Nigerian is more Nigerian than the other Nigeria, than others. So let's see how the court is going to go about this. I mean, how people are going to, because yesterday you would remember what that is said. That's Peter Obi's running mate in the presidential election, where he said that remaining or declaring Tinubu, who people did not vote for in his words, as the president would cause an end to democracy. So yesterday that also came back on the internet, and people are wondering what people like Wole Soyinka, for example, would say in cases like this, who called obedient fascists for statement like that. So it's going to be a long, very, very long ride, I can predict. Away from that now, an Islamic scholar, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, is advising President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go after everyone who worked under Muhammadu Buhari to make them vomit everything they stole to raise money for governance instead of excessively taxing the people. Gumi also disclosed that there is an ongoing negotiation between the federal government and bandits, and he's afraid that if the federal government fails at it, Boko Haram terrorists would hijack the bandits. So technically, bandits are not Boko Haram terrorists in his opinion. Now, while asking Tinubu to be decisive, he said he had proposed to Buhari while he was in office that Let's see what he said in parts of his statement. He said, when Buhari came in as president, I proposed to him to draw a red line and close his eyes to what happened in the past. But instead, he continued using the constitution, the institution of fighting corruption, to hound and blackmail opponents. So his corruption war failed. So Tinubu should have the courage not to only deal with anyone found to be corrupt, but also bring back all those who have enriched themselves in the past government to vomit what they have stolen. They have to vomit what they have eaten. Nigeria is broke now, and instead of taxing common Nigerians to raise funds to run government, let the stolen money be returned and mete out appropriate punishment on them. If he can do this, he says, I will support him 100%. His words continue, and he says, luckily for us, they are not challenging. That's referring to bandits. He said the bandits are not challenging government authority. That is on the positive side. But the danger is that we have terrorists that are trying to infiltrate them. So we either bring them to our own side or we allow the terrorists hijack them. And certainly that will be another story. Onyekachi says, I've always said it, that the Buhari administration majored in stealing our commonwealth. The citizens don't need to be taxed to oblivion. We can get 1 trillion naira back from Buhari, Sirika, and others. Also reacting to that is a new guy who says, why not Buhari himself? Did the appointees act on their own? Talk is cheap. What exactly did he achieve with all these talks under the Buhari's administration? Just trying to look for relevance, I guess. For another user, Ben, he says they will not probe because they expect the government after them not to also probe the present government. It is a merry-go-round. The salvation of Nigeria is in the hands of the common Nigerians. This user says, I can't believe I would someday agree with Gumi, but on this, I'm with him. That woman, or the woman that trained youth with billions, should be arrested. Same with the one that fed school children at home, our last petroleum minister, and all of them, Emefiele inclusive. Now, talking about Emefiele, it looks like rights activist Sowore is confident that this administration would not prosecute the detained governor of Nigeria's apex bank, Godwin Emefiele. His reason is that if Emefiele is indeed made to pay for his crimes, other big names, including former President Muhammadu Buhari, will go down in the process. So he said on Twitter that for those who may not be familiar with the models of the official DSS Nigeria, holding former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele had nothing to do with the gravity of his high crimes. The game is to hold him on behalf of those in power. If Emefiele was to be prosecuted for his real financial crimes, economic sabotage, money laundering and terrorism financing involvement, FX round tripping and others, he would take down with him Muhammadu Buhari, his entire family, in-laws, members of his inner circle, lots of all progressives Congress leaders, state governors, senators, media practitioners, military and police top brass, and even people in official DSS Nigeria, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission as well. As civil society leaders, a lot would come crashing down. Right now, negotiations are ongoing. This is just the holding charge before they let him go if he plays ball. And it says those bogey of a charge is similar to how they started with former NSA Colonel Sambo Dasuki, who was first charged with illegal possession of firearms precisely in August of 2015. The rest is now history. This was his reaction to the fresh charges against him that he was caught. A gun that is not licensed was found in his possession. And then Lumi today says, thank you so much, Sowore. These people are jokers. I was wondering why they changed his offense. Well, I'm not surprised. This is Nigeria. Corruption is fighting corruption. For Nedu, it says there are no real offenses. Tinubu perceived Emefiele as his enemy that wanted to ruin his ambition by changing the naira. And last reaction is coming in from Michael, who says, Mr. Sowore, Emefiele will be prosecuted for his real offenses, and if you can drag Buhari, APC leaders, governors, and others as well, we will be grateful. Now, fear women could pass for the lead trend of this weekend. So usually it comes every once in a while, but this time it could drop from number 1, but it never left the trends. Fear women was used after Manchester City defender Benjamin Mendy was found not guilty of raping the woman who accused him of rape at a retrial Friday after spending 2.5 years in Chester Crown Court in England. 7 counts of rapes and 1 count of sexual assault were brought against the Frenchman. His charges of assaulting 5 women between October 2020 and August 2021 were withdrawn in January this year, as he maintained that all his sexual activities with the women were consensual. Let's see, share women. Uncle Femi Jr. says Benjamin Mendy has been found not guilty. Those 8 ladies should face the court of law. Same measure of justice Mendy would have gotten should be given to them. Fear women, they are mean. For Crazy Bear, it says they should also push for fake accusations should come with strict punishment. If a man is guilty of rape, he should be jailed. If he's not guilty, the accuser should be sentenced for the same jail time and a rapist would get. So that way it will reduce a lot. For this user, the boy from the ghetto, he says, if you see this Benjamin Mendy picture on your timeline, like and say, fear women. For this other user, he says, I used 23 hours to fear women and the remaining one to fear women again. Well, his management has released a press statement and he says that it has been almost 3 years since the police started investigating this matter. But then he says it's having a toll on him. But yeah, that's how we call it a day today on Kakaki Social for Time Factor. I'll see you again tomorrow.